K-nearest neighbor is instance-based or lazy learning. That means that you get all the answers in one big splash. If something changes in your data, then you have to rerun the algorithm from scratch. This might make it difficult to scale these models because you're working with much more data at any one time. Sometimes you don't want instance-based machine learning algorithms. Instead, you'll want to see a continuous numerical relationship between different parts of your data. For that, you might use something like regression analysis. Regression analysis looks at the relationship between predictors and your outcome. Sometimes you'll hear predictors called input variables, independent variables, or even regressors. Linear regression is one of the most common types of machine learning algorithms. With linear regression, you'll want to create a straight line that shows the relationship between your predictor and the outcome. You'll want to see all the different data points closely gathered around the straight line. Then you can make the best prediction of your outcome. Let's think about how this might work. Imagine you're an owner of an ice cream shop. Over the last year, you've collected 20 days of sales data. Then you went out and purchased the weather data for those days. So, with this training data, you create a simple x and y-axis diagram as a scatter plot. This is when you plot your data along different parts of your diagram. Along the y-axis, you list the daily sales. And along the x-axis, you put a temperature scale. Let's say it starts at 60 degrees and ends at 110 degrees, so you plot all of your different data points on your diagram. Then you'll try to create a line of best fit. To do this, you create a line that splits your data. This is usually called the hyperplane. Sometimes you'll also hear this called the trend line. So, you can see from our scatter plot diagram that there's a very clear trend line. The more the temperature goes up, the greater your ice cream sales. You can also see that there's a few times that you have data points that are well outside the trend line. This could be because there was a festival or maybe just a lot of people wanted ice cream on a cold day. If you have a lot of data points that are far away from the trend line, then it will be much more difficult for you to predict your ice cream sales. As it stands, there aren't many outliers, so you can use your linear regression to predict your sales. Let's look at a point in this diagram. Let's say that all this week, the weather forecast says it will be around 95 degrees. Now we can look at our hyperplane or trend line and try to find the corresponding ice cream sales. You'll see that you can expect to sell around $3,000. As you can imagine, not just ice cream shop owners are interested in using machine learning linear regression. In fact, if you have more data, it's usually easier to make an accurate trend line. One interesting about linear regression is that there are some debate about whether it's actually machine learning. There's some truth to it because if you think about it, the machine is not actually learning anything new about the data. It's just using the data to create a standard statistical model. It's less about learning and more about predicting. Either way, regression is a very popular way to try and predict future behavior. The key is to find the right predictors and look for some type of linear connection with the outcome.